What's up, good people? Welcome back to Finance Friday 2022 edition. My name is Coach Susan. I hope you guys' year is starting on a high note and that you're on top of crushing your financial goals. I'm very excited to be taking you through today's topic. Now, at the beginning of a new year, we all have goals, we all have ambitions, we all have a plan as to what we want to do. And one of those things that we always almost plan for is our money and deciding where we want our money to go and how we want our finances to look like. So in today's Finance Friday episode, I want to just share with you a couple of tips that are just going to help you, simple and effective tips to help you budget better in 2022. Now, if you have ever budgeted or if you have tried budgeting, you know that it is a very simple concept to understand, but a very difficult one to apply and to implement. And so much as we say we want to budget for our money, of course, starting the first month is usually very easy. And then by the time you're getting to the second month, third month, you're starting to experience some challenges. So if you've been there before and you want to learn what exactly should I do differently when I'm budgeting this year to ensure that my budget is actually working, that it's benefiting me, that I'm sticking to it, and that I'm growing while using it, stick around. That's exactly what we are talking about today. The first step to effective budgeting is actually creating the budget in advance. I say this time and time again that budgeting is actually telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. At the end of the month, most of us are trying to infer from our spending exactly where our money went. But if you're doing effective budgeting, it then dictates that you decide in advance, not discovering at the end of the month where your money went, but deciding, intentionally planning and deciding in advance exactly how you want to spend your money that particular month. And I love to encourage people towards the very end of the month. It is such an important time to take maybe a day, either the day that you get your pay or after the day you get your pay, to actually sit down and to do two things. The first thing is close your budget for the previous month. So what exactly does that entail? Looking at, okay, this is what I had said I would do this month. Is that exactly what happened? And if I had a couple of mishaps, exactly what went wrong? So you're able to kind of like look, do I have an excess? Do I have a deficit? And just kind of like do a review of how the past month has been. Once you've been able to do that, because there is no month that is similar to another, then go ahead and analyze, okay, in this coming month, exactly what do I need to budget for? Because months are not similar. So maybe last month you had to pay car insurance and this month you don't have to pay car insurance. Then you actually have to kind of like examine exactly where the money is coming from. So always create your budget in advance. Don't start budgeting for say February when it's already 15th of February. You've already disoriented the system. So make it a habit to create a budget in advance of the actual period that you want to budget for. That will go a long way towards helping you to budget better. That's the first thing. The second thing is also to understand that not every month is the same. Now, you could have a template that caters to the most important things, okay? You have a template that your budgeting template should ideally have 4 things, right? It should have the obvious mandatory bills and expenses that you have to pay for. The second thing that it should have is your debt repayments in case you're paying any debt whatsoever. The third thing that it should have, obviously, is your savings and investments. And then the fourth thing is your wants. These are leisure, entertainment, giving, and the things that you can actually do without, like you don't consider them a mandatory bill. Now, when we say that you have to understand that every month is different, we mean that this on every particular month will come with its own set of issues, right? So maybe last month you had quite a number of miscellaneous costs and your budget went overboard, and then next month you probably don't have any. And this is one of the reasons why I encourage people to review your budget on a monthly basis. Just sitting down and coming up with a budgeting template and deciding X amount will go to rent, X amount will go to, Y amount will go towards miscellaneous spending, this amount will go towards giving. It is not enough, right? You have to look at your budget on a monthly basis. And I love to tell people, this is pretty much like any other skill. You have to practice and you have to keep doing it over and over and over again. It is proven that if you keep doing something repeatedly, you get good at it. So the first month will probably be horrible. You'll say you will spend only 5,000 on entertainment and end up spending 10,000. Now you see, if you do not sit down and review what caused that, what happens is just a chronic same bad habit. You keep spending 10,000, then 15,000, then 20,000. And at the end of the year, when you're reviewing, you realize, I actually did not save, I did not invest. Had you actually sat down and reviewed the first month and reviewed the second month and tried improving on the third month and the fourth month, you could have actually course corrected before the year ends. So understanding that not every month is the same then calls for me to budget on a monthly basis, which is why I'm recommending you sit down at the end of the month, close the budget for the previous month, and then open the budget for the following month, because no month is the same. So that in case maybe this month it is someone's birthday, you're able to factor that in your budget. If this is the month of your anniversary with your spouse or with your lover, then you budget for that. If this is the month to renew any insurance or any subscription, then you actually budget for that, either from your pay slip or from withdrawing money from your sinking funds to actually be able to cater to that. The other thing that you need to do so that your budgeting can become a bit more effective is to budget with the actual income that you have. Now, I don't mean that budgeting for expected money is wrong, but what I always love to say is that don't budget for this month for money that you wish or you hope to get, right? And this works very well, this affects a lot of people who have irregular income, like freelancers, entrepreneurs, business people, okay? Now, if you know you only have 40,000 and that's exactly what you are sure about during that month, please budget for 40,000. Okay, when the extra money that you're expecting comes in, or rather, maybe to put it better, what we're trying to say is that refrain from budgeting for money that you do not have, and especially if you're planning for your mandatory bills and expenses. So I know some people are usually like, I know I'm gonna conduct this particular business or this particular gig and I'm expecting 100,000, and then you end up getting 60. If you budgeted for 100,000, then that already creates a disorientation in the way you're going to use your money. So always budget for the actual money that you have, not the money that you wish would come. All right. So if you know that your budget gives you a range between, your business gives you a range between 40 to 60,000, then it's always better to budget at your bare minimum level, and in such a way that your mandatory bills and expenses can actually be catered to by that bare minimum that you know you get. All right. And then whenever extra money comes in, because you've already covered your bases, now you can use that extra money to either boost some of the expenses that you could have gone without in case the money didn't come, or even boost some of your savings, investments, or even debt repayments. The fourth thing that you need to do so that you can budget a bit more effectively in 2022 is something that I keep saying time and time again. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first before splurging. Pay yourself first, because if you don't pay yourself first, every time you tell yourself that I'm going to pay my bills first and then I'm going to do A, B, C, D, and then the money that remains, that's exactly now what I'm going to save and invest. We all know it's a lie, guys. We all know it's a lie. Why? Because as long as I have not attached a purpose to some money and something comes up, like if something needs my attention now, Very rarely will I discipline myself enough to say, okay, no, this is money I had set aside for saving. If that thing needs my attention right now, I'm going to use that money. And we all know that currently in our economy, demand for our money is at an all-time high, guys. Like, I can't even leave home with 1,000 bob and come back home with it, right? So if in 2022, this is the year that you're saying, I want to save more, I want to invest more, I want to pay off my debt, you need to prioritize those things before spending. Because as long as you spend fast, you're not going to have enough left to save and to invest. And whether you earn 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures, we all have the same issue. Money is just never enough. And so for me to save in 2022, for me to invest in 2022, I have got to be more intentional that I'm saving 5,000 into my emergency fund, and whenever my salary comes in, that's the first thing that goes out. Now, if you are a person who is struggling with personal discipline, especially when it comes to your finances, then you could even put systems and structures in place to ensure that you actually do that thing. So maybe you can put a standing order either with your employer or with your bank to have those monies sent before your salary actually comes in. So always ensure that you pay yourself first. In fact, I like to say, pay yourself first and make it automatic. So to avoid that constant discussion with yourself, whether, we love to justify every month why we can't save because something is always coming up. So make it automatic by effecting standing orders and having these automatic deductions made, just so that you can discipline yourself and kind of like limit the amount of disposable income that you end up getting. Once you do that and you are consistent with it throughout the whole year, you're definitely going to have a good amount of savings and investments by the end of 2022. All right. The next thing that will help you to budget more effectively is obviously tracking your spending. You cannot budget effectively if you do not know where your money is going. Now, there are very many tracking apps and software and resources that you can actually use. Why tracking is important is because when I know where my money is going, and I realize that I have a problem in my finances, and I'm trying to do a postmortem to establish what is wrong and what I can do right, it makes it very easy when I know how much is going where. Let me give you an example. If I've been tracking my spending and I realize I've been spending, say, 15,000 on Ubers every month, when I'm trying to reverse that situation and to make it better, it's very easy for me to say, okay, I spend 15,000 on Ubers every month. I need to half that figure. It needs to come down to 7,000. So you see, you can quantify the change instead of just saying, I'm gonna change. How much exactly do you need to cut on that? If your expenses on entertainment comes to maybe 20,000 and you cannot afford that, I keep telling people and my clients as well, if you have 20,000 to spend on entertainment, you have 20,000 to save, you have 20,000 to invest, you have 20,000 to pay off your debt, right? And so when I know exactly how much is going where, when I'm trying to change the situation and to adjust accordingly, it is easier for me to be like, okay, I think I need to limit this to 5,000. I think I need to limit this to 2,000 or however much. But when you don't know where your money is going, and you're in a situation where you need to make changes, you will not know where to start because you don't even know how much you spend and on what. So tracking your expenses is foundational towards getting to financial freedom and budgeting a bit more effectively, because when I know where my money is going, then I know the changes to make. I know my bad spending habits and I can start working on them. I can tell exactly what the issue with my finances is by just looking at what the data is telling me. So you need to track your expenses. Now, I have a resource for you on my website. If you don't already know my website, that's the Legacy Hub Kenya, which is my coaching company, if you don't already know about that. And what we do is that we help you and give you training, accountability, and resources to be able to actually take charge of your finances and to be able to make the necessary changes to help you get to financial freedom and to build your legacy. Now, I have a budget tracking template, an Excel sheet on my website that I'm selling for 550 bob shillings only. That should ideally help you to be able to track both your expenses, your wants and leisure, your budget, your debt repayments, any projects that you may have, savings and investments. So if you don't already have a budget tracker and you want a done for you template, I'm going to link I'm going to just put down the link on the description box for you to be able to get that budget tracker. There are also very many resources online, either on Play Store or whatever platform that you use, that you can easily download and actually be able to manage your expenses better. On top of that Excel sheet, I personally use the Money Manager app. I'm also going to be linking the link. I'm going to also be linking that app on the description box, just for you to be able to have two options, either the Excel sheet or the free Money Manager app on Play Store, to help you track your expenses better. I told you I got you, right? And then finally, if you want to budget effectively in 2022, you need to focus on progress over perfection. All right. Now, we all start the year on a high note. We are crushing these goals. We are killing it. We are saving. We are investing. But the truth of the matter is that as much as we have plans, things don't always work out the way we planned they would. And sometimes we get disoriented because you didn't do what you said you were going to do, or your budget didn't work how you thought it would work. But I love to tell people that application and consistency makes all the difference every time. Now, I love to tell this to my clients. It takes around 3 to 6 months to get used to budgeting if you've not been doing it. Why? Because you are unlearning something you've been doing all your life, which is probably mindlessly spending your money, not knowing exactly where it's going, not tracking your expenses, not paying yourself first. Like, there's a whole lot of things that you need to unlearn, and then you need to also relearn or learn completely afresh how to manage your finances. So I love to encourage people, as much as you have all these goals to save and to invest and to stick to a budget, you need to understand that consistency is what makes the difference all the time. I love to tell people, think big, like think the millions, think a working budget, think sticking to your budget and all that. But start small and start now. If this month you can manage to track your expenses and last month you didn't do it, then you're winning. If the next month you can now add on to tracking your expenses and start paying yourself first, maybe to one account, your emergency fund, for instance, okay, then you're winning. And then the next month, so keep stacking the good habits on top of each other. You won't just wake up one day and you've not been budgeting, and then start budgeting, and all of a sudden everything is working out perfectly. So you need to understand that we are not seeking perfection in our budget, and sometimes you'll even get miscellaneous expenses. Maybe a family member gets sick, or something happens to your car, or you even lose your job. What we are saying is that as long as you have the right information and you're trying your best to apply the basics, and most especially doing it consistently, then you have to give it time. So as you start this new year, my encouragement to you is this: sit down and ask yourself, exactly what do I want my money to do for me? Do you want to save more? Open those savings accounts. Decide exactly how much you want to save and start doing it. If you want to invest more, open those investment accounts and brokerage accounts and decide how much money you want to put and put that in your budget. If you want to track, get my tracker on in the description box, or download a tracking app from your Play Store and actually start doing it. So let it be less talk and more action, and focus on the baby steps. Remember, we've said think big, but start small and start now. I really hope you found today's video helpful and insightful. If you did, please remember to share, like, and subscribe so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week on the next episode of Finance Friday.